The reselling is any of this, right? So any of these is like 25 billion rows of different intent where it was different categories at the time when they were pulled. My background is tax accounting, right?
Yeah.
And everything in tax accounting was all primary source record. What I've found with people who are very targeted in how they do the marketing, like they have more of a strategic approach of how they're going to go about it, they do better with basically where storms were happening, right? Especially in Florida, where if there was flooding, obviously there's no insurance typically. People don't have cash right now to fix, so they will sell faster. People using that type of logic have done a bit better, I would say, especially in the sell my home market, because if these databases originally when they were made, you could be browsing a website, you can end up on a page that does the specific service. So the easiest thing I relate to, I can't think of a quick example for real estate, but if you're looking for solar, people might be on their utility website paying a bill, and there might be an ad on the website, the link to save 30% or something. They theoretically would get added to that pile. Or let's say you're on Zillow looking for how to afford rates on a home, and you're putting in the amount of $1 million, but you're 19 years old. You have an intent of trying to get $1 million loan, but you're not qualified. So after you get these databases, and this is kind of where the white label comes in, you should do the thinking for your clients. So for instance, the real estate databases. So my favorite one to do is IUL. You know what IUL is, right?
I don't actually.
So IUL, this is the insurance that the life insurance agents want to sell you. You're young, you're healthy, and you're rich. So when you die, your policy's worth $10 million. Most people looking up this insurance are 65 and older. This is just organic somehow, them looking it up. They do not qualify for IUL.
Okay.
So even though they were looking up IUL, now it's the client, you or your clients below you's responsibility to be like, all right, just because they're looking for IUL, do I even want to spend my time calling them? Because they're 65 and older, and the answer probably is no. They would qualify for final expense, which is the burial insurance, which is $9 a month and only covers up to $10,000 or something. So in terms of issues I've seen people have, that is a big one where they don't immediately think that they have to do any additional of this work. That's where the whole white label comes in. IUL from August, 500,000 people were looking for it in the third week of August. Let's say someone comes in, they want to have the perfect list of people who more than likely would be qualified with intent. Your white label, okay, so I'm going to start from the top. I just basically gave you an overview of where we're trying to get to. Let's start at the beginning of how to get everything set up. Have you ever set up a GoHighLevel before website?
Yes, mine is active right now. Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't foreign to you. You know how to go to GoDaddy, change the DNS.
Yes, and then we did do a sub account linking earlier today with the I guess the location number, something else on one of my sub accounts.
And that was with
that was Brian. That was the main account to sync the GoHighLevel for the contacts. And then Mike also mentioned earlier that he wanted his clients or students to have their own accounts and sub accounts connected to GoHighLevel. That way, whenever he gives them the leads, they can sync it directly to their GoHighLevel. So I initially said, connect your white label domain first, and then you will have that option to create sub accounts. So you can attest one account of his with another sub account sync.
This is step one. When you get the A record, you then make your own version of the system on your domain.
Okay.
So we want to have you connect that. The second thing, you can set up the payment gateway. If you don't set up the payment gateway, then you will manually have to approve clients, which isn't hard. We have a payment gateway and we manually approve clients just to prevent, a lot of fraudulent charges going through.
Right. Do you guys use Stripe as a payment gateway? That's what I'm using now.
We use Authorize. You can use Stripe. Stripe is just a little bit of a nightmare because they make you do all the PCI compliance documentation. This guy, it took him I just helped him last week, but it took Stripe about 3 weeks to approve.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This thing. So instead of, if you're able to take money on Stripe, the way you do it outside of the system, I would say, that way you can at least get paid, because without them using the Stripe, you can adjust their account and put credits into it. So they can pay you out of the system and you can still give them credits directly. The last important thing is to get this set up with the email. Have you ever set up an app password through your Gmail before?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Straightforward, just have to do that for this. So that way when OTPs for your users or the lists for your users, they'll get an email from you and not from us. Second, we have to get this white label too. This is the first version of the white label, the dashboard, we'll call it. It would bring me into their version with their name, their colors. This data store white label is your inventory. Think of it like you have a physical store that people can walk into and look aisle by aisle. So it's a little bit easier for them to get their head wrapped around what all the products are. So that's what this is right here. So when you get that domain turned on, this turns into a checkout system as like pipelines and funnels. Originally, we were talking about the different custom intent databases or even reverse mortgage, we'll say. So this is someone who came in, they wanted reverse mortgage, but they only wanted people who were 65 plus. So we went and made a data product in the marketplace right here. There's a tab called Data Store. And once you have the white label online, you can make different products and pre-filter everything. And once it's pre-filtered, and let's just say they were to buy it, view details, purchase, they would use the credits in the account you sold them or you added to them. They can use those credits to unlock the full database. They would be able to go back to the dashboard white label 1, we'll call it, go to databases, data stores, and it will be right here. And it shows filters. They actually can't filter it. When you make the product in the marketplace, this is what they get. We have to tell development to remove this because they don't have the option of filtering after the fact.
Got it.
With the filtering, can you guys do single family only?
It depends on what database, but yes, you would have to figure out which database you want to use and then see all of these have home type. Yeah, type right here. One thing you can do is you're trying to avoid condos for the most part.
Yeah, condos, apartments.
There's two main sets of data, the custom and then the legacy. To get back to legacy, you would hit menu up here and then click lead search. These databases here, HO, for instance, you have a switch right here that lets you remove apartments and HO condos and stuff like that. So if it's a suite or floor number, it ends up removing it.
Okay, cool.
This isn't the intent. The primary source from this isn't people going on Google. The primary source is who pays the taxes on the property. This is whatever county Roswell, Georgia's in. They say this person pays the taxes. So we skip traced it to their phone number, email, age. And if you see an age like this, the database only is 2 digits. So that means this person's technically over 100. What I do by default is I'll just add in, you do 25, I'll do to 76. And you remove like 1 million people. Not that many, but just if any of the clients you have any questions of like, why is there a 10-year-old? Well, it's not actually 10. And another big clarification, the businesses right here, these are businesses that took an SBA loan, paid it back, and are still in business. So this database is always going to be going to owners, investors, the people that are in charge of the company. And there is another database under business professionals, under custom databases, and that's called business professionals. And this is LinkedIn. If you were to go here, for instance, and say, hey, I want to find a roofing company, you're not going to just find owners, you're going to find everybody. So if I go look at job title, for instance, we have a project manager, we have the roofer, we have a partner in a roofing company, so on and so forth. So there's a level called seniority level. And over here, there are different like CXO, director. So we type in director, we're left with 648 directors and roofing companies in this data set. And you can get very creative over here, whether you're going through the job title or industry, department, so on and so forth with that. Those are just going to be a lot of things people end up asking you if they're in the system. So in terms of how else to set it up, you have 2 different ways to set up the website. You can either use the pre-builder, the template that we see over here. So this is the general template, but there is custom website pages, which I use a lot. And here you can just use Claude or Gemini outside of the system and just copy and paste the code raw, which we do all the time. This is a quick and easy way. And these pages are all accessible once you white label too, if you want to use these. But if you have GoHighLevel, might want to use that. If you have data that you want to sell, you can add a database. So after you have the white label on and the domains turned on the website, you can go over to Marketplace, add database, add new database, and let's say I have a list of people who submitted for an MCA loan in 2014 as an age form submission. We can name what we want, and then you would have to name the columns what they are in your CSV. And after you do this, you can prevent the user from filtering. So let's say there's a first name, last name. Maybe you don't want your user to filter that. You want to list your own stuff because people sometimes someone found like 8 million solar leads for $1,000, listed them, and they don't even use our data. They just use their stuff. Under this CRM section, you can keep track of your users. You can see the search activity of every single one. So if anyone is having issues or you're curious if people are using the system, you can get an idea of them. Under agency customer plan, you can actually make your plans for your users to sign up to. I personally always do a $0 plan because this requires people to put their credit card in and use a business email, So out of, we get like 50 people that sign up a day. 20 of them do this. So now our sales guys know who to contact first. Definitely works well with that. And when you create one of these plans, you can add a price for it. And then this right here, contacts, this is the amount of credits that they're going to get. And you can control, are they paying you $2.99 a month for 1,000 leads a day? Or are they paying you $2.99 a month for 1,000 leads monthly? People will pay $2.99 for 30,000, but then there are some people that say 30,000 are too much. I'll pay $2.99 for 1,000 a day. It still maths the same way, but audits aren't going to aggregate, so they never actually see more than 1,000 in their account at once because they don't add day by day by day technically. I never used a free trial because I just find when you bill people after their free trial ends, 90% will do a chargeback. So I don't even mess with that anymore. I just like the $0 account because you're able to